Chapter 3.
Nola. We had converted one of the old laboratory rooms into a clinic because it already had sinks, cabinets, and enough electrical outlets to run the few medical devices we'd managed to salvage. Mara Densel, our healer, stood beside the examination table, cutting away Elias Marr's blood-stained shirt when Tavren and I entered. Two men who had carried him in waited near the wall, both breathing hard from the effort. Elias looked worse than I expected. Blood covered the right side of his face, and one eye had swollen shut. Someone had beaten him badly, but the deep cut beneath his ribs concerned me more. Rhea had packed it with clean cloth, though blood was already seeping through. "What happened to him?" I asked.
"We found him crawling through the west field," Darnell said. "He must have come through the break in the outer fence."
Tavren stepped closer to the examination table, and Rhea immediately moved between them. She was a small, gray-haired woman who had delivered half the children in the settlement and intimidated almost everyone else.
"I'm treating him," she said. "You can wait."
I can scan him without touching him.
Rhea looked Tavern over as though deciding whether his size made him more or less likely to obey her, then scanned from there.
He accepted her order without comment. His eyes developed the same faint silver shimmer I'd seen at the gate. Elias groaned and tried to turn his head toward us.
"Nola," he whispered.
"I'm here." I moved to the opposite side of the table and took his hand. Elias and his wife Sarah had traded eggs, dried beans, and goat cheese with us for years. Their farm supported 12 people, including 2 families with young children. "Where is Sarah?" I asked.
His fingers tightened weakly around mine. They took her, took everyone who could walk.
A cold feeling settled in my stomach. Who did?
Men from the north, 20, maybe more. They came in trucks and on horses, said the farm belonged to them now.
Tavren remained near the foot of the table, watching Elias with an intensity that made it clear he was recording every word.
What happened to the people who couldn't walk? He asked.
Elias began to shake. Old Tom argued. Told them they couldn't take his granddaughter. They shot him. Left Missy Vale because her leg was broken and she couldn't work. They left 2 others with her.
Alive? I asked.
They were when I ran.
Rhea reached for a vial from the cabinet. "He needs to rest."
I need to know how he escaped, Tavren said.
"You can ask him after I stop him from bleeding to death."
Tavren's expression didn't change. The wound missed his liver and bowel. No major artery was severed, but he has lost approximately 22% of his blood volume. The cut requires closure, and he needs fluids.
Rhea stopped with the vial in her hand. "You can see that?
Yes,
Can you help?"
if you permit it.
That was the first time Rhea looked pleased to have him there. She pointed to the sink. "Wash your hands. I'll close the wound, but you can hold him still and tell me if anything changes."
Tavren removed his jacket and weapons belt, setting both on an empty counter. The short-sleeved black shirt beneath showed arms thick with muscle and marked by several pale scars. I tried not to stare, but it was hard to ignore how powerful he was at such close range. Elias cried out when Rhea cleaned the wound. Tavren stood beside the table and placed one large hand on his shoulder. He didn't need to use much force. The wounded man stopped struggling almost immediately.
Tell me about the attackers, Tavren said.
They called themselves the Freeland Brotherhood. Elias's voice came in strained bursts. Their leader was Cardin Rusk, said every farm and settlement north of the river would answer to him.
I knew the name. We had heard rumors of Rusk for almost a year, though no one seemed certain whether he was a raider, a traitor, or simply another man claiming territory he couldn't control. The stories had grown worse over the past few months.
Did they take your food? Tavren asked.
Some. Left most of it. Said they'd need the farm producing.
That confirmed my worst fear. Ordinary raiders took whatever they could carry and moved on. Rusk intended to build something permanent. Did they question you about this settlement? I asked.
Elias turned his good eye toward me. They knew about it already. Asked how many rifles you had and how many people could fight. Wanted to know where you kept the seed.
Darnell swore softly from behind us. How did they know about the seed vault? I asked.
"We traded seed with half the farms in this part of the territory," Rhea said without looking up from her work. "It isn't exactly a secret."
No, it wasn't. But knowing we had seeds was different from knowing we stored enough preserved stock to replant hundreds of acres after a crop failure. The vault was one of the most valuable resources in the region. Tavren glanced at me.
How many people know its location?
Everyone in the settlement. Most of our trading partners know it is somewhere on the grounds.
The exact entrance?
Fewer. Elias sucked in a sharp breath as Rhea worked on the wound. Tavren waited until he settled before continuing.
Why did they let you live?
They didn't mean to. One of them cut me and pushed me into the equipment barn. I stayed down until dark. They were drinking and arguing about where to go next. I crawled out through the back.
You walked 22 miles with that wound? I asked.
Not all of it. Found a horse a few miles south. Fell off near your fence.
He had come here because he believed we could help. I didn't know yet whether that belief would save him or bring the same men who destroyed his farm straight to our gate.
Did you hear when they planned to come? Tavren asked.
Soon. Rusk said he wanted the station before the harvest. Said 40 workers would make it worth taking.
The way he reduced us to workers made my anger burn hotter than my fear. We had built this place over decades. Every patched greenhouse panel, every repaired water line, and every acre of planted soil represented labor and lives. Card Rusk would not simply walk through our gate and claim it.
Rhea finished closing the wound and covered it with a clean dressing. That is enough. He needs fluids and sleep.
Tavren nodded and stepped back. His condition is stable for now. Wake him every 2 hours and check whether his speech becomes confused. If his abdomen swells or hardens, call me immediately.
Rhea studied him with new respect. I know how to recognize internal bleeding.
I did not intend to question your competence.
You have a way of sounding like you do.
I almost smiled because Tavren had managed to offend her in precisely the same way he had offended me over the gate repairs.
I am working on that, he said.
His admission surprised a short laugh out of Rhea. Good. You can start by taking everyone except my patient out of here.
We filed into the hallway, leaving Elias in her care. Several residents had gathered outside the clinic despite Darnell's attempts to move them along. The news had already spread and fear showed in every face. We need a council meeting, I said. Now.
Darnell nodded. I'll get the household representatives.
Our settlement didn't have an elected council in the way larger towns did. Each major household chose someone to speak for them, while the heads of the greenhouse, water, security, clinic, and food stores attended because their work affected everyone. They advised me, argued with me, and occasionally stopped me from making decisions when I was too tired to see all the consequences. Within half an hour, 13 of us had gathered around the large table in the administration building. Tavren stood near the map wall because none of our chairs looked sturdy enough to hold him for long. I explained what Elias told us. People interrupted with questions, most of which I couldn't answer. How many men does this Rusk have? Will the network send guardians? Should we send the children south? What if Garrow wasn't the only farm they took? The room became louder until I raised my hand. We need facts before we make decisions based on fear.
We have one fact, said Bran Keller, who managed the grain stores. A force larger than ours has already taken a farm, and they're coming here.
We also have a Cyborg network operative, said Lysabelle. She was Mira's mother and oversaw 2 of the greenhouses. That has to count for something. Everyone looked at Tavren.
He stepped away from the wall. It counts for 1 cyborg.
Aren't you worth about 50 ordinary men? Brant asked.
That depends on the men, their weapons, the terrain, and whether my objective is to kill them or protect 40 civilians while doing it.
His answer quieted the room. What do you recommend? I asked.
First, I need to inspect every part of the compound, including the underground service tunnels, water access points, and power system. Second, send scouts south and west to determine whether the road remains open. Third, establish contact with every neighboring settlement that still has communications. We need to know how quickly Rusk is moving and how many people he has absorbed.
What about network support? Darnell asked.
I transmitted a request before entering this meeting. The nearest available Guardian team is currently dealing with a trafficking operation more than 400 miles away. Regional Command will send help, but it may take several days.
And Russ could be here before that, I said.
Yes.
Brant leaned forward, resting both hands on the table. Then maybe we should negotiate, give him part of the harvest and keep him outside the walls.
Tavren looked at him. Did Garrow Farm negotiate?
We don't know.
We know Rusk killed a man who objected and removed everyone capable of labor. He did not approach them as a trading partner.
Brant's face reddened. You don't know these people.
I know the pattern. Rusk is not gathering tribute. He is building a labor force and securing food production. If you offer him part of the harvest, you confirm the station has enough resources to take.
That was what I believed, but hearing Tavren state it so clearly ended the argument faster than I could have. Della Morn, who supervised the communal kitchen, folded her hands on the table. What are our chances if we fight?
Poor if Rusk reaches the gate before you prepare, Tavren said. Significantly better if everyone cooperates and follows a defensive plan.
Who makes that plan? Brant asked.
Tavren looked at me before answering. Nola commands the settlement. I will advise her and organize the tactical defense if she agrees.
I had expected him to say he would take over. A man with his strength and military experience could have made a convincing argument that survival mattered more than preserving my authority. Instead, he gave the decision back to me in front of everyone. I agree, I said. Tavren will assess our defenses and organize training. Darnell will continue commanding the watch and work with him.
Darnell nodded. No objection.
A few people still looked uncertain, but no one openly challenged the decision. The meeting continued for another hour. We arranged additional watches, sent 2 riders toward our Western trading partners, and began moving emergency food and medical supplies into the safest central building. Tavren listened more than he spoke. When people asked him direct questions, his answers were practical and detailed without being overly reassuring. He did not promise us that everything would be fine. I trusted him more because he didn't. After the others left, I remained at the table staring at the map of our territory. Garrow Farm was marked with a small black circle. 12 people had lived there yesterday morning. Now 3 injured residents might be trapped, and the others were prisoners. Tavren came to stand beside me. You should send someone for the people Elias said were left behind, I told him.
I intend to go.
Alone?
I move faster alone.
You said that at the gate.
It remains true.
I turned to look at him. You can't investigate our defenses and ride 22 miles north at the same time.
No. I will inspect the compound first, leave before dark, and reach Garrow after nightfall. If the 3 injured residents remain there, I will bring them back.
He spoke as though rescuing people from a captured farm was simply another task on his list. What if Rusk left guards?
Then I will remove them.
I believed him. That should have frightened me more than it did. Instead, I felt something loosen inside my chest. For years, every crisis had ended with someone turning to me and asking what we should do. Tavren had arrived less than 2 hours earlier, and he was already taking responsibility for problems I couldn't solve alone. I knew that relief was dangerous. It would be too easy to confuse needing what he could do with wanting him as a mate. Unfortunately, I was beginning to suspect the two might not be entirely separate. You told the council I remained in command, I said.
You do.
You have more experience defending settlements than anyone here.
That does not give me the right to control the settlement.
Some men would disagree.
Those men would be wrong.
I studied him for a moment. He was an armed cyborg who had spent years serving as a protector, yet he didn't appear to need everyone around him to acknowledge his power. He already knew what he was capable of. That quiet confidence made him more attractive than I wanted him to be. You should see the rest of the station, I said. I can show you the water system and tunnels.
I would like that.
This is not a mating excursion.
I did not assume it was.
The faint movement at the corner of his mouth told me he was amused. But you are pleased I'm coming with you.
Yes.
His simple honesty sent an unexpected warmth through me. Tavren had searched 11 years for the woman his systems promised him, and he looked at me as though finding me was the greatest victory of his life. I wasn't ready to accept everything that meant. But as I led him from the meeting room, I realized I was no longer thinking about how soon he might leave. I was wondering what it would be like if he stayed.